Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary Stroop Family Foundation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, Kern High School District, and AC Electric Company, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Scott.
And in studio we have Katheryn with us. And Katheryn, if somebody needed to get a hold of us at Do the Math, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357, toll free 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath and at kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right. Well, before we get going, why don't you let everybody know where you go to school and what grade you're in?
I go to Bill L. Williams Elementary School, and I am in the 6th grade.
All right. And how long have you been at Bill L. Williams?
8 years. I think 8 years, yeah.
So since kindergarten, you've been there?
Yeah, I've been there since TK.
Oh, since TK. Oh my gosh, that's why I was like 8 years. Wow. You've already been in school 8 years. So you have known nothing but Bill L. Williams your entire time.
Yeah.
Right? How do you like, or how do you cope with school being so different this year? Like, what have you had to do that is like really different this year?
Well, more online, more time online on the computers, less help this year on computers since we're on computers.
Okay. So you're on computers a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys would be on computers probably a lot during the day sometimes, but not all day, right? And now, so if you need help in any area, subject or whatever, is it kind of easy to get that help, or is it a little more difficult now?
It's a little bit more difficult.
Okay. Well, you're not there with somebody all the time, so I can see how that might make it a little more difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? We're here to help you with your math right now, okay? And it's my understanding that you're working on percents in 6th grade right now, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Quickly, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a quick little problem right now, all right? So when you head on over to the board, and first of all, what I'd like you to do is we're going to talk about fractions, decimals, and percents, okay? So would you like me to give you a fraction, a decimal, or a percent?
Fraction.
A fraction. Let's go with 2 over 5. So write 2/5, 2 over 5. Oop, yeah, just don't let your hand touch the board. There you go. And now I want you to turn that into a decimal and a percent. All right, so Scott is right there to help you out.
Okay. So I would do this. And then put the 2 right here.
Gotcha. Oh, so you're doing some division. Good idea. Okay. That's how we're going to make this into a decimal.
And then
So where's the decimal on the 2?
The decimal on the 2 would be,
There you go. Gotcha.
and then you would put that there since
Good.
it's a
I'm glad you
0.
brought that straight up. Yeah. 5 doesn't go into 2, so you put a
Yeah.
0 there. Good job. All right. What's next?
And then since there's nothing, you would put 0, and then since that's that, and then you would bring the 2 down, and then add a 0, bring a 0 down,
Good.
and then you would, how many times can 5 go into 20, which would be 4, so it would be 20.
Yep.
And
I'm going to
then-
put the 4 up there.
And then it would be 4, and then that's 0.
And you can see there's nothing left. That's it. Good job. So 2/5 is the same as 0.4. You change it to a decimal.
Yeah.
What's the next part of this problem?
Oh,
Now we
putting
want
it
a
as
percent.
A percent. There we go. So how do we change 0.4 to a percent?
0.42%. Let me see. Since it's that, you would put 0.4. And since that decimal usually looks like that, and that's how we would do it when we multiply it, you would just.
So you add another
take
0
away
in the
the
end, which
0.
doesn't change the value. That's wonderful. You can keep that 0 in the front. That's fine.
And then you would put.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So there you go. It becomes 40%. Can you write right above there, right back again, 0.40 like you had it? So that was the fraction or the decimal you had. How did you make it into a percent? What did you do to it? Where did that decimal go? Can you just show us with a little arrow or something?
The decimal was just. It went into. It's supposed to be into the dollar, but.
Right. It goes in front, right? So it
Yeah.
really just went 2 places to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it became in the front. That's it. So fraction, decimal, percent.
There
Well
you
done.
go. Nicely done. So a quick little introduction to all 3 of those things right now. And we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon, but now, time for today's Math in the News. Now, Katheryn, yesterday was the first day of fall, all right? And when the seasons change, other things do as well. Can you think of anything that changes in our world when we change from one season to another sometimes?
Definitely the weather.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said the weather, all right? If the weather changes, what then also changes?
The degrees and like.
Like, think about us, how we're
Temperature?
dressed right now.
Oh yeah, like clothing changes.
Okay, clothing changes, right? Okay. And because of the seasons, you have to wear more clothes when you go outside, right? Because it's obviously colder, okay? And have you ever seen how fashion changes also?
Yeah.
Can you think of any examples when fashions, like have you ever seen fashions go from one thing to another?
Yeah, in the 1920s it went from like more like suits and dresses, and then to now it's just casual, comfy.
Okay, right. So they used to wear a lot more dresses, right? Now it's more casual and more comfortable kind of and things like that. So when I saw this in the news, and this is definitely math in the news, and we'll call it even like Scott, masks in the news, but this full page came out of the Wall Street Journal the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and we'll let you guys take a look at that right there. There we go. So let the mask Olympics begin. And this is a full page of masks. Now, obviously not all of them, okay, but quite a few. Did you even think there would be this many different types?
Probably because people are getting bored and they
Yeah.
want to create more
Yeah, they're
ideas.
creating more things like that. So you can see that all 3 of us have a different mask on, and they're all, in fact, different types. Like Scott's got something that would cover most of his face, and if he wanted to, he could, cover his whole head with that thing, right? You've got one where it's made of cloth, right? I've got one that is a disposable one. So we've got different types of masks on, even though they serve the same purpose. So with this one, what they did is I'll go ahead and put it under here so we can kind of start seeing some of these. And what they did is they ranked them. Okay, so they have numbers for rankings. And we can see that up here we've got the best overall plus the best fit got a 36.5 rating. Okay, the next one got a 31, right? That's how many points it got. Now this doesn't go in order here. This is the best overall, best fit runner-up, best material, best breathability, right? And then we've got one over here, best style, right? So you got to be styling when you're wearing a mask, right? So, Katheryn, I would like to ask you, what do you think is the lowest price for a mask on this page? What do you think is the lowest price for a mask?
Either $5 or $10.
$5 or $10. All right, we're going to go 5 because that's even lower, right? So we're going to go 5. Well, after many hours of scouring, I found it. And the lowest one is right there, $4 for a mask. All right, so you were right there, right? Very good. And we can see that it's the got a rating of 23.05. Funny, because today is the 23rd.
Right.
It's just funny how that works out on Donnie Day. All right, so what do you think is the most expensive mask? So for one mask, what do you think the most expensive one on here is?
50.
50?
Or, yeah.
You want to go 50 or something different? Because I'm not sure what you said.
50.
50?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, here we go. You're pretty close. I'm sure there are people that are going to spend $50 on a mask, but this one is $35 for one mask. And this one, right, $35, fancy tights brand, matrixy style. But I was just surprised at how many different things you could have on here as far as the different masks go, and then rating them like that. So that would be a 32.2 rating. Our highest was a 36, so that comes in pretty good overall, all right? Now, so you can take a look at the mask right there if you want. So I figured, all right, now how are we going to figure out how did they do this for ratings? Now, when you rate things, you can have your own criteria. You can set up your system however you like. An example I was able to find is for college basketball. So in college basketball, they have March Madness. And obviously, it will probably be a little different this year based on everything going on. But I figured let's take a look at an easy way on how they figure out the rankings of the teams. And here's an example of what they do. So they take the number of home wins the team has, all right, and they multiply that by 0.6, all right. Now, Katheryn, I'm going to throw this out there for you. 0.6 would be what percent?
60%.
There you go, you're on it, 60%. Plus 1.0, so they're going to take that, multiply this and add 1, and then multiply that by neutral site wins. So it's not at the opponent's venue, but someplace that neither one of them can call home would be the neutral site. Then they're going to add to that 1.4 and multiply that by away wins, because away wins would be more difficult, you would think, because you're in somebody else's venue. Then they're going to take that number and divide it by the total number of games. So you can see, just loving sports maybe, you could watch a favorite sport and you could get some gainful employment working, dealing with numbers and figuring out rankings and things like that, and a lot of other things as far as statistics go. And that is just an example of how the ratings is done in college basketball for one example. And that is today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. We've got Scott in studio. More importantly, we have Katheryn in studio. And Katheryn is a 6th grade student at Bill L. Williams, has been there a long 8 years. You ready to go to junior high next year, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know what? We'll do some more work with Katheryn right after this.
We're here at Ming and H Drugs today. We're going to talk with Pat Person, pharmacist at our place of business here that we're visiting. You know, people like to talk about a new normal, and what's going to be really interesting is talking about how not only our world around us is adjusting and the shifts we're making, but also how we're using the skills of the math classroom and your learning to apply that skill set to how we interact with our world. So right now, I'd like to take the time to introduce our guest today, Pat. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
It's been an interesting time, and you know, looking at a lot of our businesses locally, especially some of the types of businesses like yours that heavily weigh in, not just in medicine, but on interactions with the public. Tell us a little bit about the adjustment.
Well, we've had to make a couple of adjustments in the fact that every person that walks in the door, we have to temperature test. We go through the gamut of questions. Have you been around somebody who's been sick? Are you feeling sick? Have you been tested positive for COVID? Things like that. We've seen our number of home deliveries have increased because people are afraid to come out. Obviously, everybody in the store is masked. We're just got to the point recently where we're making it to where people have to wear a mask to come in. A couple of months ago, it was kind of, do whatever you felt comfortable, and now going along with everybody else, we're just saying masks are mandatory. And, we're just taking a few extra precautions. We have a ton of hand sanitizer and stuff. Thomas, my son, he manufactured some hand sanitizer and we made it available. So just cool stuff like that where we can still use our skills, but make sure we're trying to keep our patients safe too.
Now, you mentioned this skill set. For those that aren't quite sure what the role of a pharmacist is, I think when you think very young, the only time you really interact with a pharmacist is to pick up medicine. So what does a pharmacist do other than simply just distribute?
Well, that's a really great question. I mean, if you look at, I've been a pharmacist for a long time. Hard to tell, I look so young. But the world of pharmacy has changed dramatically just in the 30 some odd years that I've been here. Back when I started, the pharmacist's job was product preparation. That's all we did. Count pills, put them in a bottle, put a label on it. We weren't even supposed to talk to the patient. That wasn't our job. That was the doctor's responsibility to tell them about the medication. Fast forward to today, these kids that are coming out of pharmacy school, like I said, my son just graduated a couple years ago. They're being taught all these clinical skills. They're being taught all these things on how to manage patients and how to manage medications. It's not about product preparation. We have a whole different class of pharmacy professional, the pharmacy technician, who is responsible for, typing the labels, doing the filling, stuff like that. They do the product preparation. We do the final check. We, check for drug interactions. We make sure the medication that's been prescribed is safe for our patients, that it's 100% accurate. So the things that we do is no longer about putting a pill in this bottle. It's about making sure that the pill that's in that bottle is going to give you the optimal benefit for your, for what you need.
I know one of the big pieces of conversations whenever there's picking up medicine is, do you have any questions about this? And that's become kind of the standard. And a big part of that conversation sometimes can be, the role of math and understanding not just numbers, but rates. The idea of a certain amount per day, every 6 hours. There's a lot of that terminology that gets used in the conversation of pharmacy.
Well, that's true. I mean, everything we do is based on a prescription. Every prescription has a daily amount that you need to take. You look at the entire amount of the prescription that we're dispensing. We have to calculate how long that's going to be expected to last. Our big thing right now is insurance billing. If you bill an insurance company, their main question is, how long is the prescription that you're filling going to last for that patient? So we know when we're going to have to pay for it again. If we make a mistake on that, the insurance company catches us. Now they come in and say, you know what, you guys screwed up. We want our money back. So it's not only it's an impact on the patient, but it's a financial impact for the pharmacy as well.
So we're going to take a look at that with Pat a little bit later on. We'll look at the actual medicine itself and take a look at the role that percentages as well as different rates of measurement and different units play as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to calculate some of those rates for something like what Pat mentioned to make sure that we know exactly when a certain amount of medicine is going to run out. We'll take a look at that a little bit later on in the show. But for now, we'll send it back to you, Mike. Take it away.
All right, thanks for that, Devin, and also thank you to Pat for informing us and educating us a little bit about what we may not have known about pharmacists and what they actually do. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. We've got Katheryn, a 6th grade student from Bill L. Williams in studio with us right now. And Katheryn is working on percents in 6th grade. So I have come up with this excellent problem for you, okay? So what I would like you to do is I would like you to, over on the left-hand side of the board, write down this information. All right, so head on over on the left-hand side of the board as high as you can reach, okay? What is one thing that you really like to eat? Excellent, pasta. Mm-hmm. Next to pasta, put $6.50. Thank you for remembering the dollar sign in there. Underneath that, what is another item that you like to eat? Oh, I was wondering if that was going to come up. When you put the first P up, I thought that was going to be pizza. Whoa, hold on, sister. You don't know how much it is. I'll determine how much it is. So, would you rather have pizza by the slice or a whole pizza?
A whole pizza.
Oh, so do I. I'll eat it. Don't be giving me that little slice of pizza. I'll eat a whole pizza, right? Very good. All right, so the whole pizza, let's say that is $11.75. All right, so the pizza is $11.75. And what would you like to drink? You can just put drink if you want, or if you want to put something specific, that would be fine as well. Oh, a smoothie. Very nice.
Hey, there you go.
All right, so let's make the smoothie $3 even. All right, now underneath that, I want you to write tax. And we're going to make the tax, we'll make it easy. We'll just make it 8% instead of
Nice.
8.25%. So it's just 8%. And then the last item is tip. So put tip. And let's make the tip. Do you like to tip people at restaurants really well? Like give them a good tip if they did a nice job? Yeah, it's nice to do. Let's make it, today's the 23rd, let's make it 23%. All right, now here is your goal, all right? You can order any combination of things that you want, okay? You don't have to order one of everything or two of anything. You can order whatever you want, okay? Scott, up at the very top, are you able to write $35?
Oops.
Oop.
Went a little bit high there.
You know what? Let me expand that for you right there. There we go.
I'm working on it.
It's hard with the little tablet thing that you've got there. There you go, $35, all right? So, Katheryn, working with Scott, I would like you to work with Scott and let him know your plan. I want you to order whatever you want, add tax and add tip, and get as close to $35 as you can, all right? Go.
All right, Katheryn, talk to me about your plan first before we start writing anything. What kind of things are we going to eat? What are we going to drink?
Pasta and a smoothie.
Pasta and a smoothie?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember we want to get close to $35, and if you just have one serving of pasta, it's probably not going to get very close, huh? So maybe you're going to take your family out to eat. Maybe that's it. How many servings of pasta do you think we'll have?
3.
3, okay. And if you had to estimate, just kind of out loud, about how much money would that be?
$18.
Okay, about $18, somewhere around there, because 6 times 3 is 18. Good, that's a good start. So if we had 3 servings of pasta, it gets us to 18. What else are you going to order in this order? Get close to 35.
2 smoothies.
2 smoothies? Okay, so and how much would that be?
That would be $6.
6. Okay, so we have 18 plus 6. Again, we're just kind of doing a ballpark figure here. Okay, so what's 18 plus 6?
18 plus 6 is 24.
24. So we're under 35. Now remember, we're going to add some tax, and we're going to add tip, right? So we're going to add some more. So we don't want to go too high. Do you think you can add anything else in there, or do you want to stick with 24?
I'll add another smoothie.
Okay, another smoothie, right. So we'll do 3 servings of pasta, 3 smoothies. I think that's a pretty good plan. Let's start to work out some math over here on the right side and see what happens. Let's figure out exactly how much the pasta is going to be. Can you show me how you do that? 3 servings of pasta? There you go. So each serving $6.50, and you got 3 of them. Go ahead and multiply it out. Good idea.
So that would be 0, 5, 1, 18, 19. Can't forget that.
Gotcha. So $19.50. Put your dollar sign on there so we know for sure. And that's pretty close to the 18 that you estimated, right?
Yeah.
How about 3 smoothies? How much is that going to be?
That would be $9.
Good. All right. So total, if you're just going to add up just the food and drinks, we got to figure out what the bill, what they would call the subtotal, right? Not how much you're going to pay at the end, but how much you would pay without the tax and the tip. How are we going to find out what the subtotal is on our bill?
It would just these 2.
Add them together. Let's do it. So you got 1950, and you're going to
I'll
add
just put that.
$9 to it, right? Now, what are you making sure you do when you're adding these things
Oh,
together?
oops.
That's all right. Hooray for erasers. Yeah, there you go. So what'd you make sure you do as you added them up? Because I noticed on your multiplication, right, if you had a decimal on the 3, your 650 had a decimal to the left, and your $3, or your 3 had a decimal to the right, you don't have to line anything up, but on addition,
You have to line them.
you're lining them up. That's right. That's really important. Okay, so what do you got if you add those up together? Nine nines 18 and carry the 1, 28.50. That's pretty good. I like it. We're under 35. Now, if you had to estimate, how much do we have, how much wiggle room do we have here? How much more do we have to go to get to 35?
Like about $7.
$7. So we hope that the tax and the tip is less than 7, right? Okay. You feeling pretty good about this so far? You can take off a smoothie now if you want.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty
I'm
good.
feeling pretty good. Okay. So 28.50. Let's go over to the right. Okay. Write 28.50 again, so we can do some work with that. And we have to find tax. So tax, we found out that it's 8%, right? How do you find 8% of 28.50? Tell us about that process a little bit.
You would multiply it so
What do you multiply?
by 8%.
Okay. And do you multiply times the percent, or do you have to do something with that percent?
You would have to turn it into a decimal.
Let's do that. Good idea. So 8% changing into a decimal. Good idea. How do you do that?
So 8% changing into a decimal, you would just write 8% down. And then
And where's the decimal on the 8?
since you had to move it to the left, it would go 1, 2.
Good,
so
you
it
can
would be
show
like
that.
And it'd go like that.
There you go. So you had the decimal here, right?
Yeah.
And you went backwards to like that, 2 spaces. So 0.08, right? And what you say you're going to do with the 0.08 with the 28.50?
You would have to multiply it.
Let's multiply it out. Okay, so we
So
definitely
here's
have
what
some
I'm going to do
multiplication
for you.
going
I'm going to let you use a calculator.
on. What a
All
nice
right,
guy.
so go ahead and you can use the calculator. So go 28.50 and then multiply times your 0.08. And what do you get? Oh, you got 0. Let's try it again. We can just clear it. All right, so go ahead and do it again. So 28.50
28.
times 0.08, or go times 0.08. There you go. And now what do you get?
2.2.
2.28. Now what does that mean, 2.28? What is that?
$2.28.
There you go, $2.28.
$2.28. And I had to do something while you were doing all the hard work over there, so I wrote it down for you. So we have a couple different numbers going on here, right? We have 28.50, we got 19.59, we got all this stuff. There's a new number, $2.28. What is that number?
$2.28 is for the 8%
Is
of
the
the
tax. That's right.
So you can erase some stuff if you want to make some, like all that stuff in the middle if you want, you can erase that. Make it a little easier to work
There you
on.
go. So you don't want to lose that 28.50, right? Go ahead and write down the 28.50 again. Go a little, there you go, yeah. And what are you going to do with the 2.28?
You, for
The $2.28, that's the tax you found, right? What do you do with that now?
you would just add it to this.
Add it in, that's it. You got it. Good, there you go. Oh, we're getting closer.
$30.78.
$30.78. So we didn't go over yet. We're looking pretty good. What do you think? 23%. Is that going to get us over 35?
Probably.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit, but we'll be awful close. He didn't say we couldn't go over, but we got to get as close as possible, right? Okay, so let's see what happens here. Next step, we have the subtotal plus the tax, so that's good. Now we need to do the tip. Same type of process, right? What are you going to do with that 23%?
You will have to, so write 23 down. And it's the same thing as the 8%. You'll just 1, 2,
Good for you.
point.
There you go. So we got 0.23, and what do you do with 0.23?
You multiply it by 30.
Aha.
There you
wanna
go.
Go
So
over there, and I'll write it down for
There
you.
you go. Use your calculator, clear it out. And then maybe I think what you need to do is when you do the 23%, put 0.23.
Yeah.
Okay.
30.78.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is what I wanted. I want you to write that number exactly
I'll write it up here in the corner.
as it is. So it's 7.0794.
7.07.
So Scott wrote it for you, but now you have to do something with it because you can't leave it like that.
You'll have to round them up to the each side.
So tell me which number you're going to round and why you're rounding it a certain way.
I'll have to round the 7.
Which 7? There's 2 of them.
This 7.
There you go. So you're going to go over here and round this 7 right here. And why are you rounding that 7?
Because it is the closest to the tens place, which is the where the coins are in cents.
Ah, what place is that?
That's the tenth.
Hundredths place.
Hundredths,
That's it.
yeah.
That's it. So if you had a cash register, it would kind of cut off right here, right? And you'd have
Yeah.
$7.07, but it's not really $7.07. What is it?
$7.10.
Not quite.
Or
You're correct. This 9 is going to help you round the 7, right?
it would be $7.08
Ah, gotcha. How do you know that the 9 rounds the 7 up to an 8? What's that all about?
because since it's behind it and it's over the it's higher than 5,
Mm-hmm.
it would round.
Good for you. Good. Okay. So we have $7.08, and we got to go back and add that way down over here, right? Because that was the subtotal with the tax. So it's already ready to go. $3.78. And Katheryn, are you doing a little bit of mental math there and noticing, are we over or under? Are we going to be close to 35? What's going to happen?
We're over it.
That
just
is a little
by
bit over. That's all right. 37.86. Boy, I hope that we have a little extra change in our pockets so we don't get stuck at the restaurant with not enough money, huh? That's
There
pretty
you go.
good.
Nicely done, though. $37.86 is pretty close to $35
Close.
on the first try. And you know what? We're going to leave that up there, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But right now, we have another opportunity to back out and visit with Devin and Pat at Ming and H Drugs.
Hey, thanks a lot. Back here at Ming and H Drugs with Pat Person, our pharmacist. Before the break, we talked a little bit about the role of the different types of units and how percentages might play into working with medication. So let's come on in and talk to Pat and see what we have lined up here. So we were talking a little bit about the different types of units that you might encounter on different medications. And a lot of it falls under the metric system, but under really small amounts that maybe students watching may not be familiar with as far as something being like tangible enough that you can hold in your hand. So kind of describe some of the standard units that we might see in medications.
Well, exactly what you were saying. The medical profession, at least with pharmacy-wise, we're probably between 85 and 90% metric system. But it doesn't mean you have to know the full gamut of the metric system. The numbers that we deal with are very minute. We go kilogram, gram, milligram, microgram. That's about it. So that's 4 different settings that you have, and each one has a set number of decimal points in between. So it's really easy to learn. It's not having to learn all these different in between kind of stuff. So learning the metric system for the medical profession, pretty simple. However, with a misplaced decimal, you've got some serious issues.
So I wonder if there is a purpose behind, you mentioned those 4 units, and that's something I kind of noticed a pattern in, going from kilogram to gram to milligram to microgram. I noticed that the interval somewhat changes each level that you move along that scale. Is it about 1,000?
1,000 per each, correct.
So I think it's interesting that they keep that standard, how you go by a multiple of 1,000 one way or the other as you move up and down that. And that's fascinating. And, I think a lot of times, especially with students that are trying to navigate the values of metric, they might hear milligrams and milliliters and confuse the two. So if you could explain to a student who's trying to figure that out, what would be like the best understanding of the difference between a milligram and a milliliter?
Sure. Milligram is weight, milliliter is volume. So milliliters are going to measure liquids, milligrams are going to measure solids or tablets or things like that. So that's how we get that definition.
If you think of like a 2-liter bottle of soda, like that's going to be a liquid. So like some of these measurements here, like that are in a box, if you open them up, those are actually liquids in there.
Correct.
And then the grams, those are solids. So milligrams would be things that are like pills or powders.
True. And then what you can do too is, like, I've got an example here where we get a prescription for amoxicillin liquid. It's 500 milligrams per capsule. But if you got a patient who's can't take a capsule, maybe it's a kid, well, you've got the same medication available. It's amoxicillin, but now we can turn it into liquid form. So, but we have to be able to take the dose that was ordered for here and calculate how much of this bottle to turn it into to get the exact same dose. But it's still this is milligrams per teaspoon, this is milligrams per capsule. It's still the same measure, it's just a different dosage form. This is liquid, this is solid.
And so you can see how important it is to understand the difference between those two and making sense of how much of one amount. And I think it's interesting that you identified 5 milliliters as kind of the standard for what people think of as a teaspoon.
Right.
Now, on some of these, we also notice on some of the liquids here in milliliters that there are some percentages on here.
Correct. And luckily these are pre-made, so we don't have to do anything other than just go to the shelf and pick it off. But most of your creams, ointments, these are eye drops. This is a topical antibiotic they use for acne. They're all measured in weight per volume, which is the percentage weight. Over here, I've got an inhaler, which is a breathing solution that's got the dual measurement. It tells you that it's a 0.083% solution, but it's also telling you that there's 2.5 milligrams of active ingredient for every 3 milliliters. And if you open it up, well, of course, I got the one that's closed, but inside here are little plastic containers, and each one of those little plastic containers is a 3 milliliter container. So it tells you that you're going to get 2.5 milligrams of that medication in every one of those little containers.
So understanding those units is going to be great for understanding exactly how much medicine you get in each dose or each pill. But if you want to go longer term and know how much medicine you have and exactly how long it's going to last you, that's another level of understanding rates. And when we come back from our break, we'll dive into exactly how we know how long one prescription is going to last. But for now, we'll send it back to the studio. Mike, take it away.
All right, thanks for that, Deb, and also thank you to Pat over at Ming and H Drugs talking about rates, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. But before we do that, we're going to discuss with Katheryn. We came out with $37.86, which is very, very close to $35. But what could you do to adjust your ordering that you think would make it even closer?
Maybe take off one smoothie.
Take off one smoothie, right? Because that would take off $3, but then what else would be coming off besides the smoothie?
Probably a tax and tip.
A little bit of tax and a little bit of tip also, right? So on your own, you can try that sometime, all right? Okay. Anyway, go ahead, erase the board for us there, Katheryn, and we're going to go ahead and work on another type of problem. So right now we're going to keep it in the food, right?
Hey,
so we're
there you
going to
go.
take a look at some fountain drinks, and I would like you to figure out the unit rate and which would be the best buy, okay? Because have you ever gone shopping?
Yeah.
Of course you have, right? And you're going to be going shopping a lot, right, in the years to come. You are going to have to figure out what the best buy is sometimes, all right? They might go, oh, like this, for example. You can buy a small drink for $1, or you can get a medium for $1.29, or you can get a large for $1.49. Which one would be the best buy where you get the most value for your money? Okay, so you're going to look for unit rate. So talk to Scott a little bit about, first of all, what unit rate even means, and then how you would like to attack this problem. All right? Go ahead.
Well, unit rate is like when the number is, well, it's kind of like that. That's an example of it, but another example would be like, there's 16 dogs, 30 cats, and 40 birds, and then they're each a different price, like 40.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Different price
Right.
for each, and then so it would be, and then which one is the best value of all. So if it was $40.
Right. Now the nice
for
part
that-
about this problem is, I like what you're saying there. The nice part about this problem is we're talking about the same stuff, right? Same soda in the small, the medium, and the large. So we're not going to go different cats and dogs and birds. We're not going to go soda and water and juice. That's good, right? So I think it might be even a little bit easier than what you're talking about, but you're exactly right. You have to be able to compare things, but you can't compare them if they're different sizes, right? That's not going to work out very well. You can't compare them if they're different animals. That doesn't work out very well. You have to have some kind of standard in order to compare them. So when you say unit, what number does the word unit remind you of?
1.
1, that's right. We want to know, basically in this problem, how much does 1 ounce cost? How much does 1 ounce of soda cost? Okay, can we find that in the first part, the first example there? It says 16 ounces cost $1. How much do we find out how much 1 ounce costs? How do we do that?
Well, you have to divide it first.
Okay, go ahead and let's write it down, see what we can do.
And then you would, because I can't go into there. 0, 0.
And if you'd like to, you can use the calculator as well.
So tell us what you're doing here. I wrote down at the top there so we can see what's happening. 16 ounces is $1, right? That's how much it costs. And you're doing a little division here, is that right?
Yes.
So what you've done is 16 on the outside and a 1 on the inside. Okay, I gotcha. All right. So if we had to write that as a fraction, how would you do it?
I would put 16 over 1 or the opposite.
Yeah, or the opposite. Which one is it? We've got to know which one it is, huh?
Yeah.
So we want to know the price per ounce, right? So way over here, I'm going to do the price per, that's division, ounce. Okay? So you're doing exactly right. If you were going to write this down, way over here where I had $1, it'd be $1 divided by 16, right? Money over ounces. And that's what you've done there. You've done $1, which is inside the division, and 16 on the outside. All right, let's do this division. Luckily, you get to use the calculator. Super nice, right? Super nice to be able to use that. Go ahead and do that, and I'll write it down for you. So $1 divided by 16, and make this into some money here. What is it?
What'd you end up
It
with?
would be
So we've got
0.0625.
Okay. So that's how much it costs per ounce.
And we'll leave it just like that for now.
Oh, that's nice, yeah. Because we would like to make it into some numbers that we understand. But who knows, maybe the other ones we work out might work out to be crazy like that too, right? They might be 0.0617, and we have to be able to compare that. So let's do that. Let's do the next one. What is the next one that we had to do? I think it was 20 ounces or something like that?
21 ounces
21 ounces.
for $1.29.
$1.29, okay. All right, Katheryn, what are you going to do with this one?
I would do the same thing.
Why don't you go ahead and set it up right underneath it. And then you can do your calculator part, and I'll help you out to write it down. Set it up correctly. That's it. The money goes inside, or on the top of the fraction. And the ounces go on the bottom. Okay. So we know it's going to be less than $1. What'd you get?
I got 0.06142857.
0.061428.
2.
So
So we'll leave the
Wow,
number
per
of
ounce.
digits the same there, pretty much.
Now, I did not know. I consider myself a pretty smart guy, but I promise you I didn't know that it was going to be that darn close. Because remember, I said 0.0617. That's really close. This next one might be even closer. We'll have to see what it is. What is the last one that we have to do? 32 ounces or something like that?
32 ounces.
Hey, there's our big gulp. That's good.
And that will be
32 ounces.
$1.49.
149. Okay. Guess it depends on how thirsty you are too, but we still want to know what the best deal is. All right, let's set up that division problem.
okay.
$1.49 on the inside, 32 on the outside. Good.
All right, clear your calculator, go to work.
Let me guess. 0.06.
0.04.
Oh, that's even better. Okay. That was a bad guess on my part. 0.0465.
65.
Do we need any more numbers?
625.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot more. Okay, I think that's probably all we need. So can you say, how would you say this in English, this top one here, okay? If you had 16 ounces of soda for $1, how would you say the top one in regular words so people would know what you're saying? What does 0.06 mean?
That's the amount of money there is
Amount of money per
ounce.
ounce. Costs you 6 cents for 1 ounce of soda. Give me a little tiny cup with 1 ounce, that'll be 6 cents, right? Okay, next one, if you were gonna buy a 21 ounce soda, right, $1.29, what's that one if you had to do it?
That would be 0.06 cents.
Which is, how much?
6 cents.
It's 6 cents also, right? It's actually a little tiny bit cheaper, but you wouldn't even notice if you're only buying 1 ounce, you still have to pay 6 cents. What about the big one, right? If you buy that much and you buy it by the ounce, how much is 1 ounce of soda if you get a big gulp?
5 cents.
5? Oh, wait, where'd 5 come from?
Because this one is larger than 5, so you would have to round this into
Yeah,
that.
that one right there, that says 4, but you're saying that this 6 is gonna help you round the 4. Good for you, and I like how you did that in your head. It's not 4 cents, it's about 5 cents, right? Still cheaper than the other ones. So the more you buy, the better deal it is. You just gotta have the cash up front to be able to afford it, right? That's a really good job on that problem. And unit price, luckily for a lot of us, those of us who like math, we can always work it out on our own if we need to, but luckily for a lot of us at the grocery store, they have the unit price on the sticker, on the shelf. They have a big price you'll see for the price of the product, and then in the top corner, usually like in a little yellow shading, they have the unit price done for you, and you can compare different brands and see which one is a better price or different sizes.
There you go. So unit rate, very important to know how to
Very
do that.
That's right.
And you've got your handle on that. All right. So erase the board, and I've got a new problem for you.
The entire Costco regime is based on unit price.
Buy more, buy more.
That's right.
There we go.
What are we doing next?
All right. Credit cards.
Uh-oh.
Yee-haw. You're going to need one of those at some point in your life also, probably. Many credit card companies give a daily interest rate along with the annual interest rate. So first of all, talk with Scott about annual interest rate and daily interest rate. What do you think the difference between those is?
The difference between daily and annual is probably because you're paying yearly, and then the other one
there
is
you go. That's the word we like to
is
see.
with a day.
Yeah. I'm just practicing my penmanship here.
And lovely penmanship.
Hey, there you go. Annual is yearly. That's important to know. And what's the other one we need to worry about?
Daily.
Daily. Okay, so we probably know what that is. That kind of goes along pretty quickly. But we have to compare them, and we can't compare because obviously the yearly rate would be much higher because it contains how many days?
365.
Ah, there you go. So that's kind of an important deal. And so maybe I can write that over here. 365 days. That's important to know. So if you had the yearly rate, and I think we do, if you had the yearly rate, how would you go about finding the daily rate?
You would divide it by the rate from the year, from the daily.
I like it. Let's make that into a fraction, okay? Can you find the annual rate? What was the problem that we had there? What was the annual rate?
Let's take a look at the problem one more time.
Okay.
If the annual rate is 18.240%, so we have 18.240% for the annual rate. We want to know what the daily interest rate is.
Oh, interesting.
And this one, hotshot, you're not using a calculator on.
Whoa!
I will take this
Of
tool
all
this
the problems today, that's the one you gotta want it, huh? That's the one you wanted it
We're
for.
going to make sure you guys know how to divide.
Okay, you said you needed to know how to, or you needed to change this daily rate. We're dividing by what?
The daily rate.
Dividing by how many days in a year?
Oh, 1.
What's the number over there we have?
Oh, 365.
365, there you go. 1 year is 365 days. So that's what we want to do. That's the problem we want to do. Now, can you
I'm
divide a
only
percent?
kidding.
Ah!
You guys
He
really
caved
think
on us.
after those other problems I was going to make you do this one without it?
He caved on us. We weren't scared, though. We could have done it. But I like the fact that he did cave a little bit. That's important. So again, I'm putting a little squiggly equal sign because we're probably not going to get the exact number, but we'll get awfully close.
Mm-hmm.
So can you divide, are you allowed to divide a percent by a number?
I need 4 decimal places
Oh, okay.
after the decimal point.
Okay.
All right, so
We can
we
do
want
it.
to go to 4 decimal places.
Right. Is it okay to divide 18.240 divided by 365? Is that all right? Or do we have to change the percent to a decimal? That's my question. Do you have to, like you were doing earlier in the show,
Yeah, you
do you have to change the percent to a decimal, or can you keep it in percent? Because listen closely, the final answer is a percent. Right?
You have to change it to decimal so that you would get that.
If you change it to a decimal, at the end of the problem, you'd have to change back to a percent, right? Does that make sense? So instead of doing all that work, why don't we just keep it a percent? Let's just keep it that way and divide by the number of days. And then at the end, we will have a percent. Go to work on your calculator here and we'll see what happens. I'll go ahead and put percent here at the end. And it's going to be a big, nasty decimal if I had to guess.
It's not going to be nasty.
It's going to be beautiful. Still a little bit higher
There
rate
you
than I
go.
want to pay.
A lovely little decimal.
0.04997.
0.04997.
0497
997.
997. That's a 4, promise. Okay? Pretty close anyway. 0.04997. That is a fancy decimal there. There you go. So that's a pretty small percentage, right? Each day, that's how much you would get charged for having a balance in your credit card, which isn't a whole lot. But after 365 days, it adds up to be quite a bit. How much after 365 days it add up to be? What's the final percent that we have for the annual rate? 18.24.
So let's say we wanted to round that
Okay.
to the nearest hundredth.
Ooh, all right.
What would that be?
Katheryn, what do you got? If you're going to round this number here to the nearest hundredth, first of all, which digit is in the hundredths place?
This one right here.
Which one, the 4
No,
or the 0? Think about the hundredths place, right? Here's the decimal. This is the decimal. What's the first place?
Oh, tenth.
Tenths. What's the next place?
Hundredths.
Hundredths. Okay, so we're looking at the 4, right? And which number is going to help you round?
The 9.
This 9 right here is going to help you round, right? Okay, so I always like to do that. Help you out round. Okay, so if we get back over here and we want to find out the final answer, tell me what to write. We're going to have 0. It's not going to change. Another 0 is not going to change. Is the 4 going to change?
Yes.
To what?
A 5.
A 5.
There you go, nicely done. So you got 0.05% for the daily rate. And we do have one last opportunity to head on out to Ming and H Drugs and visit with Pat and Devin.
Hey, thanks a lot. We're back here at Ming and H Drugs with Pat Person, pharmacist. Last segment, we were talking about the role that units play, especially metric in medicine, and the relationship of how rates can help us understand how much is in a dose. And Pat, you showed me a really interesting tool that pharmacists pick up in some of their university level classes as far as how to calculate exactly how much should be in an estimated supply that a doctor might prescribe.
Yeah, so basically our whole world revolves around how long a prescription is going to last. If somebody brings in a prescription, we dispense a certain amount. We like to know or kind of get an idea of when we can expect to see them back again. So we have what's known as an estimated day supply that we have to calculate. Insurance companies base reimbursement on estimated day supply. If I say that it's going to last 30 days and a patient comes in 20 days after they get it, the insurance company kicks it out saying that it's too early. If it's a 30-day supply and they come back 45 days later, then there might be some issue where the patient's not taking the medication correctly, and all of a sudden you've got an issue about non-compliance. And if you're non-compliant, you don't get the best benefit from the medication. So what we do is we have all of our technicians and everybody that works in the pharmacy has what's known as the estimated day supply, or the EDS calculation, where you take the amount of medication that we dispense, you divide that by the amount of medication they're using per day, and you come up with an estimated day supply. Just like if you had $10 and you're spending $1 a day, how long is that $10 going to last? Same kind of thing, but we're using it in the amount of what's going into the dispensed medication for the patient.
So this can work as a formula in and of itself, but it can also work out as a proportion that you can use to calculate longer terms of prescriptions, let's say if it needs to be extended by multiples beyond what's originally prescribed.
Sure. So if let's say I've got 30 in a bottle and the patient's taking 2 a day, and I calculate that to be a 15-day supply, but the prescriber wants the patient to have 30 days. It's just take that factor, multiply it times 2. Or the doctor prescribes a 90-day supply, but the insurance company only covers a 30-day supply. We take that quantity and divide it by 3 to get the 30 days. So there's a lot of things that we're able to do based on what's prescribed, what we're dispensing, what the insurance company is going to reimburse, and that kind of thing.
Now that's generally easier to do when you have something solid that's quantifiable, like a pill or a capsule. When it comes to something like a liquid, where you don't necessarily go by milliliters, but it doses in something a bit more, I don't want to say fluid, but a bit more undefinable, like a drop.
I was going to say vague, but that works.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a great question. So here I've got a prescription for an eye drop. This is an eye drop they use for inflammation in the eye. But you'll notice that it's a 10 milliliter bottle. But when we're dispensing to the patient, the directions don't tell them to take 0.2 milliliters and squirt it in their eye. The directions for eye drops are use 1 or 2 drops, left eye, right eye, both eyes, whatever. So we have to be able to calculate this estimated day supply based on this bottle being converted to drops. So there's a standard measure where 1 milliliter is equal to 20 drops. So I can then take the 10 milliliters that's in this bottle, multiply it times 20. Now instead of dispensing a 10 ml bottle, I'm dispensing 200 drops. Patients using 5 drops a day, 200 divided by 5. This bottle should last them roughly 40 days.
So if you're listening to this and it sounds like a lot of work, it's not necessarily harder work, it's just more work that you know that you can do. And there are tools that you're able to use to calculate that very quickly. But just understanding the relationship of doing one rate conversion and applying that to a formula to figure out how much to inform the insurance company about is going to save you guys a lot of headaches.
Yeah, and the great thing about what we do is we have references here all the time. I mean, if you look at, we have pharmacy students that are coming in doing externships and stuff like that. And those guys are living on their phones. They're looking at dose calculations based on stuff they have they go to Google or they go to, their bases that they go to get the information. So back in the day when I first started out, it was a calculator, we had to just go off memory. But of course, we're dealing with a lot of the same number of drugs we have today. But like I said, the transition of pharmacy from a product base to a clinical base has caused these new pharmacists coming out to be much more well versed in all the little minutia that goes with the profession of pharmacy, not just, here's a bottle of pills, count by 5 until you get 30 and throw them in a bottle.
Well, Pat, thank you so much for having us today. As a token of appreciation from Do the Math for having us, we want to award you with the customary, traditional Do the Math tile.
Awesome.
Do what you will, display how you can, and we wish you nothing but success here, and thank you for the work you do in supporting the community during a tough time like this.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for coming by. Stay safe, mask up, social distancing, all the good stuff.
That'll do it from here at Ming and H Drugs. We're going to send it for the last time today. Back to the studio, Mike.
All right,
Take it away.
thanks. Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Devin. And also, as Pat said, mask up. You've got a wide variety of masks out there and about. Katheryn, for your great work today, we are going to award you with a meal courtesy of our friends at Chick-fil-A. So congratulations on that. You think you'll eat the whole meal at once?
Probably not.
What? Oh, I know you put down that whole meal at one time. Anyway, did you have fun today?
Yeah.
Good. And hopefully you learned a little bit more about percents. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary Stroop Family Foundation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, Kern High School District, and AC Electric Company, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.